All right, very good. So welcome to Diggsy, part of the Bootstrap week. And my name is Max Katz, and I run developer relations for Diggsy. And so what is Diggsy, in case you're not familiar? It's a cloud-based mobile app builder where you can create HTML5, jQuery mobile, and PhoneGap apps connected to any REST API. There's my information, my email, blog, and Twitter. If you guys have any questions after this session, feel free to email me. But that's basically it for the slides. We're actually going to go into the builder, which is, again, running in the browser, and we'll actually build probably 2 apps, depending on the time and how many questions there are. So let me do that. All right, so what you guys should see now is a list, the starting page, and these are my apps, right? And to start, I'm going to first build a Twitter search app where we're going to build the UI with jQuery mobile HTML5, and we're going to connect to Twitter's search API, and we can search for any information on Twitter. So I'm going to click Start Now, and going to go with App Builder, and going to go with Mobile App here, and I'm going to select Blank Mobile App and click Next. All right, so just give it a name, Twitter, right? I mean, obviously, then it can be anything, and then click Create. So again, this is everything is running in the cloud, in the browser, so which there is nothing to install, nothing to download. So it's incredibly easy to start. So just give me a few seconds here for the builder to load. Now, also in just a few seconds, you can see connecting to collaboration server. So I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with Google Docs, where you can invite other people to edit the same document at the same time, different time. So there's a very similar feature here, where you can actually have either developers work with you on the same app, again, at the same time or a different time. All right, so you should now all see the builder, and so this is the phone screen, right? And so on this side, we got jQuery mobile component and also HTML5 component. So for example, right here, we got the video and audio, right? So the first step is to build the UI. So to build the UI, we simply take components and drag and drop them, all right? And just like this, all right? And we can change this to search, and we can make this to be a placeholder, and we can change this to Twitter app, all right? Now, what's really nice is that we can instantly test the app in the browser. All right, and looks like this. So this is an actual app running in the browser. Now, what's also cool is that I can make this app public, and you guys can actually try the app. So what you guys can do is, I'm going to come back to this, but let me create a shortcut for this URL so you can type it easily on your phone. Or again, I'm going to come back to this, so you can also scan this QR code if you would like. Give me a sec here. Let me do, actually, let's do this. We've got a shortcut, tiny URL. So this is the shortcut URL, so you guys can type in. So it's tinyurl.com and then 75x47j4. So I'll stay here for a few seconds for you guys to type in the URL. And I'm going to come back if you have a QR app. You can scan it as well. Right, so again, try this URL, and again, it should work on any phone, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, Windows Phone. It doesn't matter because we're starting with the mobile web app. All right. So actually, what I can do, I can make this to be probably. Let me go back and make this the header. This way. Here we go. Actually, this way people can see it. Anyhow, I'm going to open this. So you guys can scan if you would like it, and open it on your actual mobile device. But again, either the desktop browser or mobile device, it should be the same. All right. So I'll give you a few more seconds. All right. So hopefully you got it open on your device or in the desktop browser. All right. So let me continue. So this is for inputting the search term, and then let's build the rest of the UI. So we got a grid component that has 2 columns, which is very useful for layout. You can create more columns and more rows. In the first one, I'm going to put an image component. All right, and this would be the Twitter image. I'm also going to resize it to 48 by 48, which is the size that Twitter sends me back. Into the second column, I'm going to put labels. So this is the Twitter username, and this is going to be the tweet text itself. All right. What I can also do, we've got a bunch of themes. So for example, we can change it like this. All right. And again, if you want to try this with the URL, it's right here. So we can click test again. I mean, not a whole lot will change, but to show that, again, you can test and see how the app looks, and you can see and you can share the link with anyone out there. All right, let's go back. So, I mean, even if all this tool could do is this is already pretty awesome, because you can, of course, create multiple screens. You can run JavaScript and build, of course, multiple pages, navigate between the pages. So basically, build the complete UI for your app without data, right? But this is, of course, just a portion of what this tool can do. And next, we want to be able to get data, okay? And we can connect to any REST API out there. I mean, there is a whole explosion of APIs happening right now. Everyone has API, so any API out there you can use. So in this example, we're going to use Twitter's search API. So I'm going to open services, and there is a REST service. I'm going to drag and drop it. All right, I'm going to click Add New. And I'm going to type in the Twitter search URL. Search. Here we go. All right. So again, just imagine this is Twitter, but it can be Facebook, can be LinkedIn, can be AT&T, can be User Grid, or AT&T mHealth. I mean, you name it. Any API out there, it can be used here. And usually, a service has inputs and outputs. So we're going to go to request parameters. We're going to enter queue, and this is for query. Twitter has other optional parameters, but we're not going to worry about them. What's also really nice, I can test the service right here. So there is a test connection. All right, and we can enter, for example, HTML5. We can click test, and this is what we get. So this is sort of the response that we get from Twitter. Now, this is not really for us to really read the results, but this is really useful to understand that the service works and returns valid, JSON. Or, it's also useful, of course, if you get an error message that kind of tells you, hey, something is wrong with the service invocation. But also from here, there is a very nice feature that we can automatically create the services structure, response structure. So there is this button, populate response structure, and clicking it, it will automatically create the response. And when I close, this is what I see. All right, so this is what's create automatic. Now, of course, I can do this by hand, but obviously this would take much longer to do this by hand. So this feature makes it super easy to try any service out there. You enter the URL, you enter the request parameters, and then you automatically create the response, right? And again, it doesn't matter if it's just a few request response parameters, or as you can see, Twitter returns quite a lot. You know, it's the same. It's very easy to get it working. So, all right, sorry, give me a sec here, back here. All right, so we're going to save, and I'm going to close, all right? So we're back here, and next step is we need to do data binding. Basically, we need to map the service to the UI. And for that, we go to data mapping tab, right? And we got the service here and the page here. Let me close this side. And so this is what we have. All right, so this is the page. So we take, this is the input component. So we take text property and map it to the service for the as the queue parameter. Now, if I need to, there's also an option to write JavaScript if I need to do something more advanced or need more flexibility, right? So this is for the request mapping, and then I go to response mapping, all right? So this is what the service returns to me, and this is still my page. So result this is the collection of all the tweets that I get. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to map it to the grid itself, and this is going to give me an iteration feature. So obviously I'm going to get multiple tweets, and this way it's going to iterate. Next, there is text, right? So this is the actual tweet. So I'm going to map it to the second label in the second column. And now from user, this is the Twitter username. And here we go, map it to the first label. And what else do we need is right here. This is the image, all right? So you can see you can map, of course, I map only 3 things, but you know, you can map 1 or you can map everything. It doesn't matter. On this side, there is JavaScript. So again, you can write custom JavaScript and do something with the values. If you would like, you can also save values into local storage. Again, so you're starting with the mobile web app, which means the app is running in the browser, so you have access to browser's local storage. So you can save values in local storage. You can retrieve values from local storage. So let's go back to design, and this is where we are. So the last thing we need to do is we would need to invoke the service, and for that we go to events, and these are all the events that we can add to the button. Obviously, again, these are browser events, and we're going to click, and we can set a number of actions here. So notice there is run custom JavaScript, which means, again, you can run JavaScript, so you can really do anything you want. But in our case, we want to do invoke service, and select the service, click OK, save the project, and click test. All right, and we can enter the HTML5, for example, click search, and this is what we get. All right, so you guys, whether you're running it in the browser or on your device, hit refresh on just hit refresh, and you can try and you can search. Now, keep in mind, this is going against Twitter, so whatever you're searching for, I mean, that's what you're going to get. So give it a try. All right, so hopefully it's working for everyone. What I'm going to do for just a second, let me just stop sharing and see if there are any questions, and then I'm going to show you some other stuff. All right, so I see it's working. So this is good. What I'm going to do is let me open the. I think everyone was on mute right now, so let me unmute it. So if you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me, and then I'm going to show you more stuff. All right. So if you there's some background noise, maybe. All right. I think this is a little bit better. So anyone has any questions? On what they saw? So there is a question. Well, I guess we can do chat. Maybe that's actually a better way, is for you guys to send me questions via chat, and then I'm going to read them. And so that's probably a good way to do it, so there is no background noise. So I'm going to put you guys on mute, and then again, type in your questions in chat. So that would be probably a good way to do it. So there is a question if we support jQuery mobile like themes. Yes. So what you saw when I changed the theme, we have probably 20 or 25 different themes. Custom themes that we created, which are of course based on jQuery mobile. So yes, you can use any of those. And we also have a theme editor where you can actually create your own custom themes. So, but again, what's important is that the actual app is just pretty much standard HTML5 jQuery mobile app. So anything you can do with jQuery mobile HTML5, you can do here. All right, any other questions? So the next question is, where do you change the theme? I'm going to show you. I'm going to write it down. I'm going to show you, but let me see if there are any other questions. But I'll write it down so I don't forget, and I'm going to show you. So another question is, can you take photos using the phone camera? So yes, and that actually I was going to show you next, but I'll tell you right now is that I mentioned in the beginning you can build PhoneGap apps, right? And that's exactly how, what you would use to take a picture with your app. So PhoneGap, kind of on a very high level, gives you two things. It allows you to put your mobile web app inside a native wrapper, native shell, and that allows you to put the app into an app store. And number two, it also gives you access to native APIs like camera. Okay, and we do have PhoneGap included in every app, so you can do those two things. You can export the app for Android, iOS, and also Windows Phone, right? And you can also invoke any of the PhoneGap API that's available, which of course includes, invoking the native camera. But I'm going to show you exactly where it is. So, are there any other questions before I go back to Diggsy? All right, so I don't see more questions. Let me go back, and I'm going to show you. So, all right, so you should see the builder. And so right here is where you would export the app. So you can see there is Android. You can get the release binary, for example. So this is really nice because right from here, if I download this file 5 minutes from now, I'll be able to put it into the Google Play Market. Okay, just as simple, as fast as that. iOS obviously take a little bit longer. If I click that, it's actually going to ask me to provide my provisional profile information and my certificate so that we can build the app for you. I mean, there's really no way around it. But now you can also export just the source code, which is a PhoneGap project, and you can build it yourself if you would like. That's also an option. For Windows Phone, there is no binary yet, but we're going to be launching it soon as well. But so for now, you've got two options. You can download the project, the source code, and you can build it yourself, or you can take it to PhoneGap Build, and so they provide the cloud service where you can build for various platforms. So just to mention, these right here, this is not using PhoneGap Build. This is our own build that we put together. But in general, you can also, again, just export as mobile web, for example, for BlackBerry, and you would be able to build for BlackBerry platform, again, using PhoneGap as an example. All right. Now, so from this window, you take the mobile app and you put it in a native shell. But then the question is, how do you invoke the native features? And so we can go to device and we can see their components based on PhoneGap API. So camera is one of them. How would you add a camera? Well, it's pretty straightforward. This is all you have to do. All right. Now, this is just any other component. You go to data mapping, and there is some preset information, right? And then response mapping. So this is what you get from PhoneGap. How would you invoke it? Well, it's very simple. So you basically put a button, take a picture, go to Events, click, and invoke service. All right. Now, obviously, there's no way for you guys to see it, but if you would run this on actual device, of course not as a mobile web because it's not going to work as just a mobile web, you would be able to see, it will just invoke the camera. I mean, it wouldn't do much because I didn't map anything. So the kind of question is, so how do you easily get it on the device, right? I mean, of course, one way is you can export the app and you can install it on your device. That's one way. But we do have a special test program called Tiggzi Mobile Tester, which you can install on Android, and it's available in the Android market, where it's a native app that you install. When you log in, you're going to get a list of all your projects that you created in Diggsy. And you simply tap on the project, and it's going to download the native version of your app, or the PhoneGap app, basically. And it's just like running a native app. So it's very, very easy to test native apps this way. So again, you download a special native app, you get all the apps you created, you tap on an app, it downloads it to your phone, and it runs it. So it is available for Android, and it's in the Android market. So if you just go and search for Tiggzi Mobile Tester, you'll see it. For iOS, there's a little bit more complicated. So we tried to submit the app a couple of times. It was declined we're not sure exactly why. We're trying to submit it again. So for now, we do have the source code for the app. So if you want to, you can always just build it yourself and install it on your phone directly without the apps market. It's definitely not as simple as we would like, but this is just the situation with Apple. Now, but if you guys are familiar with PhoneGap, obviously that's not all the stuff that it provides. There's actually more stuff, API docs. So this is all the API that it provides. So for example, if I go to notification here and alert, well, actually let's try something like the beep. It's pretty straightforward. So let's say I wanted to invoke this. If I go back to Tiggzi, well, there's no such component here. So what would I do? Well, I go here, I can delete this, for example. And what I do is I would run custom JavaScript. And I would just input how many times, maybe 2 times. All right? And basically now, again, if I run this, of course, in the browser, nothing will happen. Right? I mean, you guys can try it, but yeah, nothing will happen. But if I have an Android, if I launch this app from the tester, it will make 2 beeps. So So again, but this basically means that any PhoneGap API that's available out there, if it's not available in this palette, you can easily just use it yourself directly, as I showed right here. Right. So also want to make sure I show you where you change themes. So themes are selected right here. So this is where you change themes. Right. So this is these are swatches basically. So I'm going to show you more. So this is the same theme but different swatches. And then there is more themes link, and you can see that these are all the themes that we have. And then you can select a swatch. So if we go to, I don't know, winter, then we can get all these different themes here. All right, so this is how it looks now. And so we can, all right, something like this. So again, this is available out of the box for you. But if you want to create your own, it's also pretty straightforward. It goes right here, and there is first of all themes. So this is a list of all the themes. And if you want to create your own, you can go to create new swatch, and you can create swatch test, and you can put it into a theme and click OK. All right, and so this is going to load in a second here. All right, so this is the custom one, and then you can actually change various parts of the theme here, and it will be updated. So, and then you can use it in your app. Okay, so this is again, so you can use any existing themes, or you can also create your own. All right, so let me do this again. Let me stop sharing for just a second, go back and see if there are any questions. And I mean, we do have time, so I'll show you another app that I can build for you. So give me a sec. All right, so let me know if you guys have any questions. Again, the easiest way is to just type them into the chat window. Also, I guess, if you guys tried the Twitter, the app on your phone, let me know if it worked for you. Just, if you tried it, just type in yes, so I know that it worked for you. So there's one question, which of the export options will export to PhoneGap? Yeah, it doesn't say, there's no PhoneGap label, but anytime you get Android, iOS, or Windows Phone, PhoneGap is sort of included by default there. But there's no PhoneGap, so there's no PhoneGap label per se. I'm going to come back to the export just to show you, so I'm going to write it down to go to export. All right, so I guess good. I see that it works for at least one person on the for the Twitter app. So let me know if there are any other questions. So the next question is there a method approach to keeping Diggsy project in sync with PhoneGap? So we try to always sort of have one of the latest and the most stable version of PhoneGap, possible. Obviously, they're going to release a version, and then we have to test it, so we can update our builder on the same day. But again, we try to keep up with PhoneGap. So right now we've got version 1.6, and we're going to be upgrading to 1.8 soon. Another 1.8 is still in beta, I believe. So again, we try to keep with PhoneGap as much and as close as possible. So that's one way. Another option is, of course, if PhoneGap released, version 1.9 and you must try it today, you can always export the app source and replace the PhoneGap yourself. So that's always an option, because in the source you basically get your app. So you own the app, so you can get the source, and then you can replace PhoneGap, you can replace jQuery, but basically you can do anything you want. So another question is, do I need to know HTML5 or JavaScript, and whether beginners can use this? So it's definitely it's an app builder. So it would be very beneficial if you have some basic understanding of how HTML or JavaScript, how it works, or maybe how REST works. Having said that, if you're building something like Twitter or similar, you saw that it's very simple to start. We've got really good tutorials. If you go to help.tiggzi.com, that sort of take you step by step. So again, it's very easy, but again, the more sort of basic HTML, JavaScript, CSS, obviously, the easier it will be for you. Another question here, I guess, also on the PhoneGap subject, is whether an app can be imported back into Diggsy. So currently, no. It's something we definitely would like to add in the future, but right now you can export, but importing is not supported yet. All right. So let me know if you guys have any other questions. All right, let's see. There's one more question. So if you're running an action like execute a service or JavaScript, can I see a debugger log info troubleshoot the action? Yes, and because the app is running in the browser, so really the best tool out there is to use Chrome Developer or development tools, so you can track everything, the request response, the HTML, or Firebug, right? So we use it all the time, and this is the best tool. So keep in mind that Diggsy is just a development tool or IDE in the browser, and the actual app is running also in the browser. So all the standard browser tools, you can use them. We recommend to use them. And now actually I can show you. I'm going to show you how it looks when you if you want to debug something. But you can, so there's a follow-up question. If you can do REST, you can see REST request responses as well. I'm going to show you. Another question, is this webinar going to be available for viewing later? I believe so. I believe it will be available later. All right? So let me know if you guys have any other questions. All right, so there are no other questions. Let me go back to Diggsy, and I'm going to show you the two things that I promised. The export options again, and also how to debug. So give me a sec here to let me share my screen back with you. All right, so let me save here. Let me close. And so right here, if I open. So basically, everything except the first column, this is PhoneGap, right? So this is source, this is PhoneGap, and of course, this is also will be PhoneGap. So again, it doesn't say PhoneGap, but it's included there by default, all right? And if you would like to see, what version what version PhoneGap is currently, you can go to project profile and external resources, and you can see the various versions here. So we do use the latest jQuery mobile in PhoneGap. Again, we've planned to upgrade very soon. All right. And so there is Android Apk Properties, and this is, you also saw this before. There is iOS properties here as well. So let me actually show you Firebug. So let me go back here. Let me remove this button. So there is a very nice thing is that you can click this little X and it will delete. It's pretty simple. Also, when you build the UI, we've got these breadcrumbs so that you can select. So it's easy to select various elements because Diggsy allows you to actually nest elements. So you can see there is a grid and there is an image inside. So, and if you nest a couple of levels, it becomes difficult for selecting which component you want to work with, and the breadcrumbs make it very simple. So let me save, and let me click. Let me close these. Let me click. So let me just make sure it. All right. Anyhow, so it runs. So I press Control-Shift-I, which opens the. This is Chrome, and I go to Network. And if I click again, so I can see this is what I get. Right. So this is. I can see the request headers. All right, and I can see the response. Now this is JSON-P, so that's why it's sort of in one line. Right. Services that support cross-domain calls, where you don't have to use JSON-P, this is going to be formatted better. So it's easier to read, all right? But anyhow, basically, I use this all the time, and I highly recommend for you guys to use this as well. And then there is a console as well, so you can see if there is any JavaScript errors and so on. And if you need to see what the generated code is, you can always just right-click and select Inspect Element, and it takes you right to this element. So this is useful because this is jQuery and jQuery Mobile. Obviously, jQuery has a very rich API for selecting DOM elements, and obviously you can use it in the app. And so this is, if you're not sure what the ID is or how to select it, you can always look in the code and then kind of, I wasn't using the right selector to select the component. So, all right, you do. Go back for see if there are any questions, and then I want to show you one more thing. So give me a sec. All right. So I do have some more questions here. Let's see. So the question is: once the app is built, can we update to the new version of PhoneGap and jQuery once you support them? Yeah. So basically, when we upgrade, jQuery or PhoneGap version in the builder, if you open the app, and you automatically get the new version. So you can basically just click, export and select whichever version you want, and you're going to get the new versions. So that would be the way to go about it. So again, you get it automatically. Now, if you deploy the app somewhere, either as mobile web or in the App Store, it's obviously going to just stay there with the same version. If you want to get the new one, you would have to click export again. All right, let me know if you guys have any questions. And now we've got 15 minutes left. I'm going to show you how you can connect to a backend, a mobile backend. So if you look at like Twitter or Facebook, so you can connect to all these services and you can get data. But what happens if you want to actually save data in your app? So there are a number of mobile backend services available, and you might have heard the names such as Kinvey, Parse, StockMob, and there's some others, which basically provide you a database in the cloud, right? And so I'm going to show you how you can connect to those as well, because again, anything that exposes REST you can connect to. So, all right, I don't see any more questions, so let me go ahead and go back to Diggsy and show you. All right, very good. So we're back, and the mobile backend. Let me close this. Let me close this and this. So the backend is actually right here. So I'm using Kinvey. So again, it's a mobile backend for apps. Again, on a very high level, it's a database in the cloud, and you can talk to via REST. So this is my table. This is my beer collection. If you need to add a new entry, you can click row here, and you can type in the name. So for example, IPA, click enter, and you get the ID automatically. So you don't need to worry about the ID. All right. Of course, you can create other columns. I mean, in my case, it's name by default. So then you can go to console, and you can actually kind of run a GET request, for example, against this collection. But it would be pretty awesome if we could actually build an app that talks to this API, right? And I'm going to show you how to do it. So obviously, these APIs, I use Twitter, which is basically open API. I mean, in other words, it doesn't require authentication. Most APIs you're going to be using probably will require authentication, like Facebook. I mean, if you want to post to your timeline, you obviously have to authenticate first. You can just, otherwise anyone will be able to post. So every service will support different authentication. So it's really, you have to go and read about the service and see how it works. Kinvey is pretty straightforward. It only requires you to add authorization header, which is pretty common. Okay, but basically this is the header, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to take it to Diggsy, and I'm going to create a new service, and REST service, we'll just call this beer. All right, and the first thing, let me put it right here. All right, and I'm going to make this to be a header. All right, now I didn't enter the URL. Let me go ahead and do that, but it's basically this. This is my app, and let's go back here, and what I'm going to do is I have to, of course, enter the domain here, which is, I think, all right. So I think this is the URL. So basically, what we're going to do, this is going to do a get on the collection. So if I've got let's see, I've got 4 beers, all right, 5. So I should be able to get them. And this is where the test comes in very handy, right? So you don't want to try building the UI right away. So you can click test, and instantly you see that you get all the beers, all right? Now, so this is a new service, right? And you would have to next to create the response, the structure of the service by hand. But as I said, this feature makes it super easy. So all I do is just click this button, and it automatically creates a response for me. All right, so this is the ID, this is the name, and this is access control list. This is for security. I mean, but this what makes it really easy to try any service out there. All right, so I'm going to click save, and I'm going to click close. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new page. So click OK. All right, so this is the page, and we're going to call this beer. All right, and let's see what I can. I have to go to palette, and let me just show you. Let's say I want to use a list now, right? So I drag and drop a list, and because I'm going to iterate over the list, I don't need all 3 items, so I can just go with 1, and I can do it like this, and I can delete this, and I can actually put a label. All right, so this looks like this. Okay, now I'm going to go to project, and this is my beer service, and I can just add it like this. And so the service is added. And as with Twitter, I have to do mappings. So I go to data mappings. Now for input, I don't need anything because I'm just doing a get on the entire collection. So I don't need anything, and which is fine. And then I go to response mapping, and this is what I get. All right. And so what I need to do is first I need to map. This is the collection of all the beers. I need to map it to list item right here. All right. And then the name of the beer, I'm going to map it to text. All right. And I'm going to save, and I'm going to go back to design. Now, previously, I would invoke the service on button click, which I, of course, can do here, but I can also invoke it on page load. So I go to events, and I page load. Also, just to show you, notice that there's like back button, battery low. So these are PhoneGap events. So, of course, they only make sense if you're building a PhoneGap app. Page load, and then I go to invoke service, REST service, right? One other thing I need to do is I need to make sure that this page actually launches first. And if I go to project profile, and I'm going to change it to beer, save, and close. All right, so let's see how this works. All right, and here we go. So incredibly simple, and it works. Now, if I wanted to create a new beer, right, that's also pretty simple. All I would do is just add something like this, right? I would add a button. I would need to define a new service, right? I'm not going to have time to do it right now, but I'm just going to kind of show you the setup, right? And I would create a new service that looks very, very similar to this one, right? Except I would change this to a post, right? And here I would also add a name, which will be the beer of the name that I'm entering, right? I would add a new beer, and then I would refresh the list with a new beer. So again, and of course delete would work in a similar way. But I know we have just a few minutes left. I'm going to go back and see if there are any questions. All right, so let me know, guys, if you have if there are any questions what I showed you. So again, the key thing is that using Twitter, Facebook, or any other service, you can easily get data, but probably very few of them, if at all, they let you save data. Again, Twitter doesn't let you save data anywhere, and Facebook doesn't let you just save data. Again, you can post to Facebook, but you can't just save data like I just did. So these services like Kinvey, StockMock, Parse, and there are other players provide you a cloud database where you can store data and retrieve data and so on. And because they all they all basically automatically work via REST, it's very, very easy to use them when you build an app in Diggsy. So there's a question: if Diggsy can make an app where you can sell products, absolutely. It's your app, so you can sell anything you want. We don't control in any way what you build. There's also sometimes a question if there's any Diggsy branding on the app. So also no, there is no Diggsy branding on the app. So you can export the app and you can host it as a mobile web, or you can put it in the App Store. So that's of course absolutely fine. All right, so let me know if you guys have any other questions. We got about 5 minutes left. Right. Well, if there are no more questions, definitely go and sign up and give it a try. There's one more question. If we have tutorials, we do. If you go to help.tiggzi.com, but you can find the help link from the main website, we have a lot of different tutorials. A lot of them are specifically on connecting to different APIs. So give them a try. I highly recommend if you're first time, that there is a Twitter tutorial which I built. I highly recommend to start with that, and then you can pick a more advanced tutorial. If there are any security issues with REST and Diggsy, well, that's another question. If there are security issues, there are definitely security issues with REST. I mean, they're not specific to Diggsy. If you were building an app with, any other tool, even Notepad, you would have the same problems. But primarily is that a lot of these services, they provide you with an API key or authorization header like I showed you. And because it's actually in the browser, so anyone looking at the source will be able to see your key or your authorization header. So, but again, that's a common problem with any mobile app. Now, it's less of a problem if you're building a PhoneGap app, because there is it's much more difficult to, well, there's really no way that you can look at in the native app. So, there are different approaches to this. I mean, one approach that people sometimes use is that instead of invoking the service directly from the client, they go through some proxy server where the actual key is stored. So instead of storing the key in the app in the browser, you keep your keys in that proxy, and then the proxy makes a request to the server. That's one way to go about it. But again, these are just standard mobile web issues and are not related to Diggsy. So let me go. I do want to show you. I have one last slide to show you. Give me a sec here, which is right here. And this is just to show you kind of again, a very high-level overview of what it is. So, I mean, Diggsy is a mobile app builder. Again, another way to look at it is an IDE in the browser, in the cloud. You can build mobile apps. The actual resulting app is a standard jQuery mobile HTML5, JavaScript, and CSS app. So there is no such thing as a, per se, Diggsy app, really. I mean, it's a jQuery mobile HTML5 app. Now, optionally, you can also use PhoneGap. So you can export, put the app in a native shell. And of course, you can also use PhoneGap's API if you need to access device features. All right. So let me quickly go. If you guys have any questions, again, this is my information. Again, I always reply to my email, so don't hesitate to email me. And I'm going to go one slide up, and this is the domain for, again, that's the actual URL for Diggsy. So go ahead, sign up, give it a try, and again, have fun. And thank you for joining us today.